mourning the loss of Muppet Vision 3D, rating ride replacements, plus this week's hot takes. Let's bring back the magic.
Bring back the magic for all to see. Together we'll discover all the joy and glow. In every story, there's a little bit of gold. Join our podcast adventure, let the magic unfold.
All right. Welcome, everybody, to an all-new episode. And I'd like to remind everybody that this episode is brought to you by Theme Park Chuckle. Go on themeparkchuckle.com and grab yourself a funny Disney-based t-shirt or two, such as the Cheers Walt shirt as shown on the screen right here if you're watching on YouTube. It's a really cool one, Epcot World Showcase with Walt toasting his beer. So make sure you go to Theme Park Chuckle and check that out. I want to remind everybody that this program is rated TV 14. So all you younger viewers, please have your parents' permission before watching it. Although we are a very clean program, you should have no problems either way. I am one of your hosts. I'm Josh.
And I'm his sister, Gina. And for those of you just joining us, welcome aboard. And please remember to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss a minute of the magic.
All right. Yeah, definitely. So, all new, brand new studio we're coming at you from. This is what we refer to as Jepcot Studios.
Cue the confetti.
Woo! No confetti.
Oh, boo.
Maybe there's some confetti. Who
Okay,
knows?
that's fine.
Okay,
That's fine.
confetti.
That's very Rip Taylor. I was like, woo!
Of course, there's confetti. Why wouldn't there be?
Of course, glitter and confetti.
Yes. So, brand new studio set up. I know it kind of looks like the old studio, but it's not. Again, spoiler alert, we never were broadcasting from the same place anyway. Gina and I were in different locations. It just looked like the same place when you went and watched it. So now we are in the same place. I'm looking directly over at her, and it's freaky.
It was a masterful illusion that you created there, Josh. But for those who follow us, and hopefully it's all of you that follow us on our social media pages at BBT Magic Podcast on Instagram and TikTok. We have Facebook, but who uses that? But anyway, I've been doing these little mini podcasts on our stories, and one of the big things I was talking about leading up to this was that thus far we've been remotely recording it, and so many people were shocked because even our own sister was like, I was wondering where you're recording that because I thought you guys were in the same room. And I said,
we were in separate houses.
Yeah, separate houses, but now here we are in person. I love it because I'm not hyper focused on the monitor now. I can actually just look at you, which I feel like feels a lot more natural for me.
Well, it's also we're very HD now, and we're definitely HD. So I love that. So
I don't love that.
Gina is vehemently against the HD because apparently in normal cameras you can't add the whatever filter it is on Instagram.
I don't love it. It's the plight of being a woman because society's far more critical on us. But it is what I also just like myself to look better for me, not just for the viewers. But it is what it is. I'm over it already. So.
Well, I think you look wonderful.
Thank you, bro.
So let's talk about our mourning the loss of Muppet Vision. It was such a, I would say, Disney MGM Studios, Disney Hollywood Studios, whatever you want to call it, classic part of that park.
Yeah.
It'd been around for a long, long time.
34 years.
Yeah, and then to get rid of it on the 70th anniversary for Jim Henson, you're like...
It was the last project he had his hands on before he passed away. He actually passed before it opened. You know,
some say it's what killed him.
Oh, stop it.
No, I'm what?
Anyway. God.
Too soon?
Anyway, what I was going to say is I did what I call my 4-minute Muppet eulogy on TikTok because it is very hard for people who just see it as another attraction to understand why so many of us are actually emotional over it. And one of the things I was saying is that because the Muppets feel real to us, like obviously not believing that they are real, but somebody even commented and their point was valid saying, but they were a tangible entity. Like they were actual puppets. They weren't just something
You're supposed to say spoiler alert before then when you say they're not real because you really just ruined my whole childhood.
Sorry about that. But I really feel like Muppet Show was like our prime time show that we watched. And Muppet Babies, like I feel like that
that was a good one for
the
me.
Muppet
Babies
movies.
was really cool. You know what? That was one of those shows that really fostered kids' imaginations. Okay, so you go in there. How big was that closet Muppet Babies had? Because they go in there and anything could happen. It was like basically the precursor to Narnia. I mean, like that's basically what it was.
I feel like we could do a whole episode just like brainstorming what we would think would make for a great like Muppets Land and what kind of attractions in the future. But I will say that one of the best things about this, and it'll be interesting to see if it alters Disney's opinion like at all regarding what they're doing with the Muppets, that just seeing the outpouring, because Great Movie Ride, people were very sad when that closed. It was a legendary attraction, but nothing, in my opinion, has compared to what we saw people doing to mourn the Muppets. I mean, people coming out in full effect. People were getting to Hollywood Studios that day. I think it was 8:30 a.m. to get a bracelet to be in the last show of the night. And actually somebody that I'm friends with on social media, she got one of those wristbands. But they also said, I think they did a cast member only like taping of the attraction on May 14th, and it was just cast members in the audience, and they actually taped the whole show for archival purposes. But I think that the amount of people that were, you just felt an emotion. You felt a wave.
Well, they all broke out into song. You saw like videos of that, like everybody singing
Heather
like Rainbow
Henson
Connection.
being the last one to go into the theater. Like, it felt like a piece of our inner child was being abandoned. Not just lost, but like abandoned. Like, how can you see this many people? And I get it. The argument is there was never a wait. Nobody cared about Muppets, blah, blah. But I don't believe that. We went on it every single time.
That was always the best part. There was never a wait. I knew it was at least getting on one attraction that day.
And again, it's something I've acknowledged on social media, and I'm not going to take credit because I saw somebody comment it first, and I just kind of ran with it. But the idea that you can't compare them moving to Rock and Roller Coaster, because one, on my own, I can tell you the difference in length of attraction is vastly different. You're going to a 1-minute attraction, but also that's not going to be something the entire family can enjoy. Like, mom's not going to get on Rock and Roller Coaster anymore. A little baby is not going to be able to get on Rock and Roller Coaster. So you're taking Muppets, which was a family friendly entity, and you're making it to a much more limited audience. So that's disappointing, but I do love seeing the love. I see how many people are still kind of crying out about it, and it just feels nice that we all...
Well, I'll be honest with you. I'm looking forward to it still having a place there. You know, the Muppets being represented with Rock and Roller Coaster, and Muppets Mayhem, I guess is what they named it. And let's just face it, it's going to be the same ride. It's the same track system. They're not changing anything. It's just going to be things that are around and you see in there. And then the pre-show will probably be pretty fun.
It would have to be. Because how else are you going to deliver Muppet brand of humor just on a ride? Like a Rock and Roll, you're hearing their music. Okay, there'll probably be some covers done by the Muppets or something like that.
They'll do some things like that.
But the pre-show is going to be the whole entire part, pre-show and queue, and maybe a little post-show they could do as well.
Yeah, no, I think that's going to be a lot of fun. Yeah. But the thing is, like, also with just the area there, everybody's talking about the fountain. I'm like, the fountain should be moved or something, or like saved, because that was a really great picture opportunity. Everybody loved that little spot. It's funny because Pizza Rizzo's, let's be honest, the pizza's trash.
Rat pizza. It says it on the billboard. It's rat pizza.
It's pizza in Disney World, outside of Via Napoli, nothing's even good on Disney property. If you're talking about actual pizza, we're not going into flatbreads and specialty things. If you're
I like the
somewhere.
Pizza at the pool I belong to at home better than any pizza, like theme park pizza I've ever had.
But no, I'll be honest with you. So Pizza Rizzo's one, but they had that antipasta salad that they had there that I loved. And I liked going up to the top of Pizza Rizzo's in a little, like ballroom area, and they had them playing the music and stuff at the dance floor there. That was great. I'll miss that. Hopefully they do something with Monstropolis that adds some like fun flavor.
I mean, there's a lot they can do. My fear is this, and not obviously because it's not what the whole episode's about, so I don't want to get too far off, because I do think we could do a whole entire episode about this. This is me putting in my request for that. But when you really notice, because we got so much footage of that Muppets Courtyard, I think even little tiny details that maybe I never even noticed over time shows how intensive the theming was of that area. All the little, like tiny little details. Obviously the queue area for that. There were so many fun little jokes, like the Annette full of Jello, for Annette Funicello. All the little things they did. So my hope is that with Monstropolis going in, that they do just as much like excessive theming. Like Disney has lost that in a lot of ways, even just down to their hotel rooms that have just become like essence of things,
it's not immersive.
Really intensive.
That's the thing. The
theming.
lands aren't outside of even Star Wars. They can still stand to do a little more immersion. They're not like what Universal does. Yeah. So Universal making things like when you go in Super Mario, it's like, okay, you're obviously in there in Epic Universe. It's like everything is themed to that. Harry Potter, everything is themed to that. These things are kind of like not as much. Yeah. And I get the studio stuff, everything's separate, but so it's also Universal Studios. So I would say with this, I look forward to being pleasantly surprised.
Same, yeah. I don't want to have lost it for nothing.
I think the ride's going to be great. I think the ride's going to be a lot of fun. I feel like they're going to, like podcast says, bring back the magic a little bit with some of these things.
Yeah.
And honestly, yeah, you can go either way. Muppets are a great storied franchise. They've been around a long time,
Yeah.
but Monsters Inc. is very popular. You know, you refresh something. Yeah, you got enough property, you could build more stuff. But they're like, you know what? They see, I guess, the bottom line stuff of what works and what doesn't work with their parks. They're out to
I just
please
don't
the
want
masses.
I don't want to
So-
have lost it for no reason. I want it to be amazing. I'm not rooting for Monstropolis to fail. Here's an interesting point, though. People said in the spec art that like you could see it looked like Harryhausen's was in there. So like, are we going to get that? They have to put a restaurant in there because they took out 2.
Yeah.
Because Mama Melrose and Pizza Rizzo were right there, so you can't take out 2
Well, that's the
restaurants
other
and
thing
not
we
put
could talk.
one in.
We could talk about at length is the fact of dining options
Yeah,
because
that's a whole
as
nother
more
podcast.
people flow into parks, there's less places to eat
Yeah.
and there's more people in them. So you're like, oh wow, trying to get reservations. I'm looking forward. We're getting ready to go on our next trip, and a few days down, we'll have some content and everything in Disney
Yeah.
coming here from this recording. Within a week, we'll be in Disney World, so it'll be a lot of
Yeah.
fun. But we go through and try to make reservations and stuff. Look, Geo 82's they opened up, and you're like, oh, okay, that's like another one. You have to have a reservation. How long's that going to be just reservationed out?
Yeah.
Like you can't get anything right now. You look on there and it's blanked everywhere.
Yeah.
But I'm hoping there's like I haven't really looked
Room
into
for a little walk-in
maybe there's
or
like a
something.
walk-in kind of thing. I mean, I had that happen with Space 220 too. Like Space 220, you couldn't get a reservation. I went there the day after it opened, and I came up and I was able to eat there later that day.
Yeah.
Like I came
All
in. That
depends
was,
on the size of your group, obviously.
it
and
actually
things.
opened on my birthday. The year it
Yeah.
opened, opened on
Oh, that's
September 20th.
cool. I didn't remember that.
Yeah, and
that's
I was
cool.
in line after they did dedication. I missed the dedication.
220, and your birthday's the 20th, so
Yes.
that would make sense.
Yeah, it wasn't Space 920.
Yes.
So it was 920 miles above the Earth. Anyhow, so our main topic for today.
Are we going to do hot takes before or after the main topic? You think we'll do them after?
We can do hot takes.
I mean, it's up to you. You're
Let's
the
go do
producer.
hot takes. Maybe I
just 'cause
forgot.
I feel like mine kind of relates to that a
Okay,
little bit.
go ahead. Go on your hot take.
I'm going to go with my hot take. And that is that I think the idea that they took the time and money to retheme the Voyage of the Little Mermaid, which is now what? The Little Mermaid Musical Adventure, whatever it's called. I would have happily foregone everything in that sector to have Monstropolis go there instead. Because I think Star Wars Launch Bay, I was much sadder when we lost like the animation tour and everything over there. I do get as somebody who remembers what it was like to go to Disney Junior with, my little one and everything and all the different things that were there. Remember when that was like a restaurant, like a warehouse, like restaurant there, and it was like really cool. But anyway, I think it's crazy.
Oh, God, that was forever ago.
Yes, very like MGM days.
You're
But I
old.
think it's crazy that they took the time and the upgrades, based on what I'm seeing, for the amount of time it was closed, just seem like kind of another one of those things where I'm like, Disney, is that where we're really spending the money? Some of the things, and again, I'll wait till I see it in person. So my hot take is I would have happily sacrificed that Little Mermaid thing. I loved it back when it was in MGM. I love the whole experience. But to me, to lose Muppets and get that redone just feels like not on Gina's like thumbs up scale. Like I would have gotten rid of
No,
that.
I can-
in a
I
heartbeat.
can
I
roll
would
with
have
that.
sacrificed it.
Yeah, I can roll with that. I think also, I said for my hot take, okay, and this is just something for me.
Yeah.
I feel like the more expensive the hotel on Disney property, the less fun it is for kids.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I really do. Maybe that's just the price of not having kids around. Maybe that's Disney's version of saying, "Hey,
No,
you want to
and
go
you
somewhere and not
nodded-
have
you-
kids around? We're going to make this really expensive."
You nodded to that once before a little bit and just
Yeah.
saying like the
Well,
theming.
This is why I'll say it. Okay, it is like all-star sports, music, movies. Those things are heavily themed for kids.
Yeah.
And people go like this, and I hate the shame factor that people will say, like if they're staying somewhere. I'm not throwing shade at anybody who might know they're listening. I was like, if you're staying at these things, it's not a bad thing. It's not be like, oh, I'm staying at a value resort. It's not like you're sitting there shopping the clearance bin somewhere
Right.
and like you can't have. It's not that kind of thing.
It's not
all these
Motel
places are great.
6.
All these places are great. And to be honest with you, even like the cafeteria kind of stuff are a little bit better over there. Some people actually go venture back over there to use those kind of facilities because they
Yeah.
like them. But they're not bad hotels. Like things like that have overly themed, where it's Art of Animation, Pop Century, and the All-Star Resorts and all are all geared for kids more than anything. And that's
Yeah.
great because Disney's actually doing you a favor at that
Yeah.
point by saying, we're going to save you some money on your trip. Your kids are going to have a great time because they're going to be around all this.
Because
Disney
you're a
magic.
larger group of people coming generally. It's like if you're a
Yes.
family of 4, the amount of tickets, the amount of meals, everything, like to be able to stay at a place that's fun for your kids, and maybe you don't have to go to the park every day. Maybe you have a really fun
But that's
pool
my
there.
take. I mean, I'm not going to stay there. But I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
I understand.
No,
I
I kid.
I also think there's something to be said too when you spend all that money. It's kind of like flying business class with a small child. It's like the people that are spending that money at times, not 100%. Disney's probably one of the places that the exception exists, that like people are spending a lot of money. They don't want to be surrounded by a lot of noisy kids. And it's like, well, this is Disney World. I mean, to go somewhere and think there's not going to be kids other than Victoria and Albert's, it's like, and now, GO82, but like there's going to be kids. So just because you're staying at a 5-star resort like Grand Floridian, like people are allowed to bring their kids there, you know?
You know what people don't want to be around kids? People who have had kids. That's the people. They're like, oh God, more kids. No, I love everybody. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So let's get into our main topic, which is ranking ride replacements. Okay. So we can say things of today, yesteryear. The decisions have been made from the Walt Disney Company to take rides out and then upgrade them or maybe downgrade them in some respects, in our opinion. Gina, what do you think?
Well, first I want to pose you a question that I posed on our stories recently, and I got some feedback on it that I can share. The idea was, what spawned the whole conversation was, can you name, because obviously our fear with Muppets, like, will the replacement be worth the sacrifice? Can you name a replacement ride? So Disney, not a reboot. We're not talking this Little Mermaid thing. We're not talking all the different versions of Test Track. We're not even talking Journey into Imagination, because again, that was kind of like a reboot of the same ride.
I can think of two right off the bat.
That you think that what they took out was better. I mean, what they put in was better than what they took out.
I can think of two right off the bat.
Okay.
Like immediately.
Go ahead.
I think PhilharMagic, when that went in, and that took like If You Had Wings
I
or something
agree.
like that, or whatever. No, was it If You Had
Magic
Wings?
Journeys.
Magic
was there.
Journeys.
Well,
that's
actually,
what it was.
before that, though, was the Legend of the Lion King little show, which I did love, and I was very sad to lose. But I'm still on board. with you that I
still,
do
whatever
think-
was there. Let's just say my memory sucks. We know this. We've been
You know my new
hit the
tagline.
videotape. You know
Don't
what's
come here
gonna
for
happen.
facts. Come for
Not
memories.
fact cast. So let's say PhilharMagic when that went in,
Yeah.
and the absolute winner above all will still be Cosmic Rewind, because that has obliterated. I don't care if you like the original Universe of Energy or when they Ellened it. It was, both of them were not great. It's nostalgic. Neither ride. But the coolest thing with Universe of Energy is when all the seats and they all just started moving. Like, you're on a ride.
Yeah,
You didn't
yeah,
realize
yeah.
it when you
Yeah,
first
that
got
was
on when you were a
cool.
kid.
Yeah.
And kids were dumb back then, and I was one of them.
No, it's a
So-
nostalgic loss, but it is definitely an upgrade as far as
but that's,
the attraction.
like I said, that's two off the bat.
Yeah.
And we can go controversy on certain ones that when you take them out and like see if they've been upgraded or downgraded. And there's going to be a lot of people's opinion that don't have a basis of their opinion. Okay, so let's say one of them is, I can go either way on this.
Maybe let's streamline ourselves, so because we could be all over
Let's
the
go to
place.
park to park?
Yes, let's
Okay.
start with Magic Kingdom, and
All right,
let's go like Tomorrowland. Okay.
And it doesn't have to be this one. I already answered your question, so this could just say we're ranking the.
Yeah, we're just
replacement.
ranking it. We're just
Okay.
saying a hit or a miss. It's a downgrade or make it more magic.
I think, and my daughter Peyton is going to hate me for this, I think that the Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh is a downgrade to
Okay, I guess
Mr.
we're not
Toad.
starting in Tomorrowland.
Mr. Toad. I'm not going to lie. I wasn't listening to you. I was just waiting for my turn to speak.
That's a common thread on this
Yeah.
show.
When
And
do you
in
get
real
through
life.
your eulogy?
And in real life, that's a common thread. But
Okay, so we'll start. Okay. We're going to start in Fantasyland.
okay, that's fine.
So we start in Fantasyland. In
Okay, 'cause there's a
Fantasyland,
lot.
I think the Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh, it's not a bad ride. I don't mind the ride. I just absolutely adored Mr. Toad.
Yeah.
I'm glad they still have it in Disneyland. It's great when I get to go over there and ride it. They have a lot of other rides that they never had in Disney World,
Right.
but that's one of them.
I think there's something to be said about the difference in the answer of, is it a ride I like better or is it a better ride? Because in reality, Winnie the Pooh is probably a better ride because of the little effects that they do in there. And obviously it's newer vehicles, everything like that. Did I like the ride better? No, because obviously nostalgically I'm attached to Mr. Toad. So I think it's kind of like two different answers, as far as an upgrade. Is it like an upgrade in my enjoyment or is it an upgrade in the quality of the ride?
Yeah.
So
Okay.
I'm with you on that. Nostalgically, I love Mr. Toad. I was very sad to lose that. But at the same time, I do think that Winnie the Pooh is a little bit better ride as far as the little effects like Tigger and the
Well,
water going through the rain.
If we're going through Fantasyland, the easiest answer into this is it's saying what got upgraded or downgraded. What's the easiest downgrade of anything that's ever been put in Fantasyland? And if you look and just think right beyond the carousel, right behind it, what's there? What had been downgraded? What used to be a ride right there? It is now not a ride. It's where the princess meet and greet who took out Snow White. Okay, Snow White might not have been the best ride in the world, and people and the kids didn't realize you were supposed to be Snow White on the ride.
Yeah.
Like that was got everything through her eyes, and they're like, "Where's Snow White?" And there's this
Yeah.
creepy witch. But the fact is, that ride itself got taken out for just literally a meet and greet.
Do you know, I want to pass on because I may have shared it with you, but I haven't shared it on the podcast, is I actually saw a video recently. I wish I could remember who posted it, but it was the reasoning behind why that ended up being there. And they said that when they had the original spec drawings, because it was kind of related to what Universal was doing and they were doing Harry Potter, that Disney was like, we're going to do this Fantasyland expansion, new Fantasyland. So what they had, because they'd already had the Ariel's meet and greet. Remember the Ariel Grotto back when 20,000 Leagues was still there? They had the little Ariel meet and greet. So they decided they would scatter all these princess meet and greets all around New Fantasyland. That was going to be like kind of the attraction. And people were disappointed and were like, we're not going to get like a thrill ride here. We're not going to get like a big like e-ticket ride. So they rethought it. They revamped it and they said, okay, we're going to put in Mine Train because that was not on the original specs. So they put in Mine Train. But because Mine Train was themed Snow White and they already had a Snow White ride, they said we can't have two Snow White rides in Fantasyland. So they said, let's take all those character meet and greets and place them in this princess.
Man, that makes sense. Whatever.
But I'm with you. I do think that like
No,
and I
you
get-
crapped all over my point. I'm like,
But I will say though, on that note, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, like taking that out and everything we gained in that space, I do think is an upgrade.
by the way, Snow White only appears in like one scene in Mine Train. It's at the end anyway. And the same thing with the old Snow White ride. I think she was on it once. I'm
Yeah.
like, man, she
Yeah.
gets no love. Just
She really doesn't. You just got to
like
spin
your
the
movie,
barrels. You
just-
got to spin the barrels if you want to see her, Josh.
sit down and eat your apple.
Yeah. But I will say that again, while aesthetically the water and everything was cool for 20,000 Leagues, that ride was
I
closed
missed
for the
that.
long, but it was closed for so long before they did
No, I
anything
mean the
about
ride
it.
sucked, but I missed the ride because it's like it's
Not
just
me. My claustrophobia did not miss.
yeah.
that
I don't
ride.
want to. I'm like that's the one where like when something goes awry, you're like, yeah, you're dead.
But I will say that I do think that everything we gain, when you think about how much we gained by taking that attraction out and that whole area, like you gained like Be Our Guest, you gained Mine Train, you got Snow, Belle's Tales, like that was a whole section. You got
And
like,
I'll be honest. Like, be our guest while we're over there and everything else. I think it's
Yeah.
funny because then you have the forced perspective where it's like it's Beast Castle up in the thing. I'm like, that
Doesn't
just
really
looks like
work.
it's a candle on top of a rock or something.
I don't think that perspective
But-
works.
I really wish they would do a little bit more and this is kind of a little tangent, but like with some of the food offerings around things like Gaston Tavern, they have like little snack stuff that you can get over things. And like people are like, oh, this is so good. It might be like a little sandwich, something like that, or like one of the like little food brew or whatever. Kind of trying to compete with the butter beer kind of thing, but it's nowhere even close, not even the same kind of drink.
Yeah.
But I feel like you can trade on that because most people I think are going to parks nowadays are going for some of the treats in the park. So a lot of the viral sensation things are different little
The different
snack
flavors
things.
of ice creams, like all the fancy ice creams they do over at like, what is it, Friar's Nook or
Yeah,
wherever.
they have like scoops on the water or whatever. That's the Dole Whips and everything.
but
that's
even in
like-
Magic Kingdom, they're rotating through a lot of
that's in the
different kinds
Village,
of.
or sorry, Disney Springs.
Yeah.
So old habits die hard. But it's but when you look at people like they're going to. I remember seeing something on before we went the last time on Animal Kingdom. They had that Joffrey's drink with like the freeze dried Skittles, which I'll tell you right now. I'm a fan of freeze dried Skittles. You can put them on anything. I don't care. They're like freeze dried Skittles and spaghetti. Okay, let's try it. I'm just like elf style. But I went and tried it, but it's funny. The sign wasn't up there, and we asked like, "Oh, well, our purveyor had us take the sign out. We were almost out of lemonade or something like that." And when a bunch, I guess people bum rushed the place, so they didn't advertise it, but they had enough that they made me.
Thankfully, we knew where to look for it because it's at
Yeah.
port of entry. So like,
Yeah, it's port of entry, and it's like right outside the park, which is cool because you can just go over there, take a bus, grab that, and not even go in Animal Kingdom.
Yeah.
You can just be like, I'm just gonna go get a drink at Animal Kingdom. 'Cause that's
Yeah.
best. One of the best parts about Disney is the free transportation
Yeah.
around the park, and that applies to everyone. People don't realize that it's hard when you go somewhere. You don't realize it's not like everywhere else in the world that you go. it's in the real world, not the Disney world.
Yeah.
So when you're on Disney property, you go anywhere, you can board a bus. It's not like back in the day they used to say, "Oh, have your resort
card.
ID" kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's not like that anymore. Disney doesn't care. They benefit from anybody.
I mean, that's what the
traveling to
transportation and
things.
ticket center is for. It's like it's a transportation hub.
So
You're
you
gonna
come
find
up there, you get on stuff, you go back and forth from Disney property. You can pop out somewhere like Joffrey's and go grab a drink. Get back on a bus, go back to wherever it is, resort hop, do whatever you want to do. That's amazing. I love that. It's one of the most convenient things, even though, you know, me and my Disney transportation, because I feel like if I'm on a mission and I'm on a schedule and I want to make more of my day, I'm probably going to Uber somewhere in the morning to wherever destination I want to get quickly.
Yeah.
Because if you're in certain places, it's like less than 5 minutes, you can be at pretty much any of these parks. I mean, it's like doom, 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 except for maybe Magic Kingdom. If you're all the way across the park, it's like between Animal Kingdom and Magic Kingdom, like two furthest points you can be. But I enjoy that kind of stuff. But back into Fantasyland. Okay, so we're going around that stuff. I feel like when they did, I miss Toontown.
I was just gonna say that Mickey and Minnie's houses, like
That was fun. And I'll be honest with you, Storybook Circus
it's not enough.
is lame. It's lame. I'm like, I do like the fact.
The right side of it's okay. It's Dumbo and Barnstormer.
Yeah,
the
no,
left
that's
side, now I
great.
get if you've got a small child, the little water puddle.
I do
thing
like
is
the
great.
retheming of Dumbo because it has a little inside park where you go around there, hang out inside, and do a little like playground things.
Because
and
you
everything.
recall that's when they had the character meet and greets in the big circuit, like big circus tent, right?
Yes,
and
you had to
you,
get the
me,
line.
Missy, Sean,
Oh,
like
we used to
we
get
would
all
go.
lines, yeah.
Karen, we would get in line and line and line because by the time you got through one line, the characters had changed, and we would just keep doing the princess meet, which is
And
funny
don't
that you
do
think
what
we.
you do to me on social media all the time. Yes, everybody, she tortures me on it. The pictures of me and these princesses from back in the day, like when
I'll
Missy
find
and
them.
Shawn went, no, stop. The haircut that I thought I looked good with when I had hair, it was garbage.
Oh my god! But your daughter absolutely loved it. She said she cried seeing that video because she's only ever
She's
seen
like,
still
oh my
pictures.
God, that's my dad. She wanted to be disowned.
Stop it. Anyway, we're getting off
It's
topic
100%
as we tend
true.
to do around here. Okay,
Yep.
so I agree with you. Storybook Circus, I think, is a huge downgrade from Toontown. Toontown was
I don't think it's awful, but I
so
feel like
much-
it's just not
so
as,
much better. The Mickey
there's
and
not
Minnie's
as much to
houses.
do.
When my son, I was devastated when I had a child of my own that was not something I could take my child through. Even Quinn, because Quinn.
That's why I like when I
loved
go to Disneyland.
Minnie. Like that was such a cool thing to go through. Like I miss that tremendously. Okay,
Yeah.
what else do we got in Magic Kingdom that would be a replace? Because Tron didn't really replace anything. That was like an addition.
Well, you got Tiana.
Okay, Tiana.
You go
yeah.
to Frontierland and you go over like that.
I'm
that
gonna
way.
call Tiana.
You've been on it. I'll be honest with everybody. I haven't ridden Tiana yet. And it's not because I'm in protest because I think it was a garbage move, which, hey, either way. So I really did love Splash Mountain. I love the theming. I love the old characters. It was something that spoke to like fandom to me just because I like Brer Fox, Brer Rabbit,
This is
Brer
not
Bear.
against Princess and the Frog. This ride, I think, suffers from what I'm going to call Frozen Ever After syndrome, which is I feel like it doesn't give the vibes of a ride that they like. I think even a retheme should give the vibes of like this is a ride we designed from day one. It should give that quality,
Not just as a skin.
not just what can we put here to convey that movie. And I feel like after having gone on it, I don't think it tells a great story of the movie. I don't think it tells really any of the
And
story.
you haven't seen the movie yet.
No, I'm seeing it tomorrow with your wife and daughter. We have a date
I-
to watch
am
it
I
together.
invited?
Yes, of course.
Okay, cool. So you have to say that on there.
But I feel like I didn't get the gist of the movie. Now, to be fair, there are some other rides you could say that about. I think the aerial ride does a great job of telling the story, but I feel like it just feels like there's one room you go through and it just feels like everything just feels like filler the same way I feel like the Frozen ride. Now, if you love the Frozen ride, maybe this won't bother you. But
And
for
that's
me,
sad, yeah.
it's not that I think that getting on Splash Mountain, you necessarily like, oh, now I know exactly what this movie's about. But you got the characters, you got who was the good guy, who was the bad guy, whatever. And I liked Splash Mountain.
It
I
filled
liked
in
this-
filled in the dot or it filled in.
I
the-
also feel like all I ever hear about is about Princess and the Frog is what a great soundtrack that movie has. And I feel like going on, I missed the soundtrack of Song of the South of Splash
I will
Mountain.
tell
The
you
music
this.
was better. In
I'm
that.
a big fan of Princess and the Frog. I think it's a great movie.
Yeah.
I really do enjoy it.
Yeah.
I remember Peyton when she was growing up, my daughter,
That was her favorite princess.
Yeah, Tiana was her favorite princess.
Yep.
It was nice. We got to see her on Disney Cruise before or
Yeah.
whatever. I was like, oh, it's Tiana. We went on. I'm like, it
Yeah.
made her day. But it's Yeah, it's to me. I haven't gotten on it. It's what I was gonna say. I haven't gotten on it yet because Peyton hasn't gotten on it.
Yeah.
So I was like, I didn't get on last time because I wasn't with you, and I wanted my first time I got on this ride.
Yeah.
As a good father, I was a little bent about it, whatever. But I'm like, I'm just kidding. I just chilled out in the DVC lounge with my mother, sitting by a window watching
The
the
whole
parade.
wheels Lightning McQueen over
I
there.
was like, yeah, rolled her into the corner and had a bag of chips and a soda. I'm just kidding. I don't drink soda, but yeah. So. Anyhow,
But
but that's why I
I
haven't
will
gotten
be
on it yet.
interested to hear what your take is on it when you get on it. Because if you'd never experienced Splash Mountain and you love Prince of the Frog, you might be totally happy with that ride. For me, it just felt like, again, that same Frozen Ever After feeling where it's like, let's stick this here. Let's stick some props. And what I call it, it's like plop syndrome. It's like plop that there, and we'll plop that. And it'll just kind of give the vibes of Princess and the Frog. And I'm sure that is a hot take all in itself. I'm sure
So-
there's plenty of people that think it's very well done.
Yeah.
And then there are people like me that are right.
Yeah, right. Then there's the right people.
And then there's
these people?
me.
So here's something. Here's another thing. Just some food for thought. We know with what happened with Muppet Vision, and everybody's like, it's a classic. They took it out. Now, there's things that still have long lines and everything to get on in Disney. But would you imagine the fallout of a classic ride leaving the Magic Kingdom? Like a classic ride. Like,
It's a
let's
Small
say,
World, Peter Pan?
No, I'm talking like Jungle Cruise.
Oh, yeah.
So let's say
Or Pirates or Haunted Mansion.
Yeah. So if you said, we're getting rid of Jungle Cruise, okay? You're like, oh no, it burned out. Well, now that you see the stuff with the Rivers of America and everything, like you have like the Tom Sawyer's Island and you have the, what is it, Liberty Bell or whatever it is, or what's it called, the ferry boat. What is it? Why can't I ever remember what it's called? I always
What
get
does it matter?
I always get Empress Lily. Is it
No.
the Empress Lily?
No.
Or is that one of the other boats?
That was the one that used to be Paddlefish. It was the Empress Lily.
Was that? Mm-hmm. God, I can't remember anything.
Yeah.
Else. What a great
No.
Disney podcast.
Look it up. Look it up in the book, Josh. Look it up in the book.
Anyway,
This is what we do. We actually lie about what we don't know for engagement purposes. We want you
Yeah,
to
we
comment.
want you to hate
We
us.
know this. We know this.
No,
we just
it's-
want you to tell us. So what was it?
So anyway, there it is.
Remember, we're not relying on facts, people. We're relying on memories, and we're older.
So when you look at what that's going to be filled in or whatever, cars and all that kind of stuff, and the Tom Sawyer's Island's going by, and everybody's like, oh no, not Tom Sawyer. I'm like, listen, let's be honest. Not one of you fools ever got on that little log raft, floated across, realized you made a mistake, and came back. Everybody did not do it. Everybody's like, oh, do you know there's a fort over there? It's funny because you get the TikTokers and people that would get online and go like this. I found a secret place in Walt Disney World. No, you didn't. It's an attraction. You go down there. Wait, you found the line? Congratulations. You know, you got in line and you rolled over on a boat and realized you made the mistake. You came back. You walked on a couple little shaky barrels or whatever in the meantime and then climbed through the claustrophobic castle there. and
I
then
will not miss
came
that
back.
attraction. I will miss the aesthetic, but I'm glad to see that Piston Peak is still going to have a lot of water because I just didn't want it to become like a big cement showcase and then it lost all of that water because you need a balance of like nature
that's the
and
thing.
industry to make a place pleasant. You know, the
Yeah.
energy is affected by that.
Yeah, I want to see what they do with it. Like,
Yeah.
and again,
I'm open
it's
to it.
the villains land and everything else beyond Thunder Mountain and what they're doing. I'm like, it's gonna be.
It also at least looks like the way they're theming it, it makes sense with Frontierland. Because that was my other thing is like, is this going to look totally out of place and not make any sense? I mean, the weirdest land obviously is kind of Liberty Square because it's so like minute, like as far as like
It's a Hall of Presidents in
it's-
Liberty Tree
and isn't but
Haunted
in
Mansion.
Haunted Mansion, yeah, it's like that, and then it's like like a restaurant, maybe
You
a
could
little
literally
Christmas
hit
shop.
everything with a rock if you turned around
Yeah,
and threw it. You
so-
hit every attraction in there.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
literally could do that.
Okay.
But yeah, like here, we're going to give you Columbia Harbor House. We're going to give you the Haunted Mansion, the little fruit stand or whatever, and then Hall of Presidents and Liberty Tree and Hoop-de-Doo Review. Let's just say that's, we'll put that. It's the same kitchen. They share a kitchen with,
Okay.
Diamond Horseshoe. I'm sorry. Diamond Horseshoe
right.
shares a kitchen with
Yeah.
Liberty Tree.
Right.
So anyway, let's get back to what we were talking
I
about.
don't think there's much else that's been
That's been taken out of Magic Kingdom. Are you sure?
no.
No, because again, the same deal. If you go into Tomorrowland where you originally wanted to start, there's a
Oh
ton
yeah, there's a
that
ton.
has-
That is where I want to start. So that's what threw me off, Josh,
Yeah.
is because there was a ton in
so
there.
what was in
Timekeeper
Timekeeper?
was where Monsters Inc. That's what you were gonna ask. What was in where Monsters
Yeah.
Inc. was?
No, I was gonna say what was in before Alien Encounter.
Oh, what was in there? Was that Mission to Mars?
I want to say something similar.
I think it was Mission to Mars.
I actually miss Alien Encounter. Like I said, because
I was too scared. It terrified me. So did
the original version. The original version, they're like, oh, we got to lighten this up. I said, no, make it scarier, and then it'll be less of a line. You know, I'm like, it's just, I enjoyed that ride. I thought it was really cool how they did it.
It's such a weird concept. The original Alien Encounter, like that someone was like, you know what Magic Kingdom needs? A frightening, horror, terrifying ride.
You know what these miserable children need to be scared out of their mind.
And Tomorrowland. Let's think. I mean, I guess it was like the idea futuristic that this alien, but yeah, not a fan. I think that
seize the future with excess.
Yeah. Timekeeper, I think, was where Monsters Inc. I think that's an upgrade. I think that...
Well, Dream Flight and If You Had Wings and all that stuff was over where Buzz Lightyear was.
And to be fair, nostalgically, I missed those rides, but Buzz Lightyear was a better attraction.
You know what I miss about those rides? Remember when you went through it because you were in the Lava Mover and you went through the plane? Yeah. Like, it was like, you just kind of like, oh, look, it was so cool when you were a kid. We weren't going through a plane. Like, you just rode, or you just rode down. Because
that's when the theming, like, 'cause now when you look at the Buzz Lightyear queue, it's basically like wall murals, right? It's not like it feels like anything's really happening and then you see Buzz and stuff. It's just another example of how queues, like when you were on If You Had Wings, it felt like you were in an airport. It was like you were walking up and it was like, oh, this feels like I'm actually in an airport.
What queue, I'm like, I have one in mind. What queue do you feel like is really well done in the queue line? I feel like there's a couple that have more to them. There's like a few. I think Little Mermaid's queue line has more going on for it. I think that
Avatar Flight of Passage is a great queue.
Flight of Passage does. Same thing with Star Wars. Like any of the Star Wars stuff, they have pretty cool queue lines.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. There was one I had on my...
Peter Pan, since they redid that queue. I mean, that's obviously because you go through the kid's bedroom.
Toy Story
Midway Mania.
Midway Mania, I think, is probably the best queue line.
Yeah. I will say, though,
as far as theming,
honorable mention to Rock and Roller Coaster, because even though the majority of like the space is outside, you did get that vibe of kind of going into like
G-Force.
Yeah, as soon as you hear that music when you walk in, it felt like you were really... I got that vibe from the first time I went on, like, ooh, I feel like I'm in like a you know, like a record studio or whatever, like a recording studio. It felt like really record company. Yeah. That was cool. I remember thinking how cool that effect was when you go in and it's like Aerosmith's on the other side. Remember they used to have an actual guy in there, like getting the guitar.
Yeah, they're like, we're not paying this fool anymore. Yeah. You know, go sit down, Jim.
Yeah. And then you feel like you're like underneath like the back lot, getting in the limo and all that. Like that's a very well done queue. So it'll be interesting to see what changes come, because it's going to be big ones, I'm sure, with Muppet Mayhem. Yeah. But I'm jumping ahead, obviously, because we're talking queues now. But in Magic Kingdom, I think we've kind of...
Well, that's, you said replacements, or is it replacements strictly, or is it refurbs?
I said I'm not thinking of like all the test tracks or even Journey into Imagination. Like I'm
still in Magic Kingdom.
I know that, but I was saying like when you ask me refurbs or whatever, if it's the same ride and just a different version of it, I don't think it necessarily counts. That's like a upgrade to a ride, but like a real replacement.
And folks, here's a
I'll give you this one because I do think it's a downgrade, and I know that's a generational issue. Also, they ruined my boyfriend. Max on the wall. Why did they give him makeup and have his work done? He doesn't even look the same. It's very sad. That's a downgrade.
Can't you see them on the other side of the wall of Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh? I think in the one scene, if you look up and look behind you, I think they're actually on the wall or something. I think that was another hidden thing from like storage.
I thought it was like in a restaurant. I think it was like in
I want to say it's that. We'll find out the next time we're there.
I like how we just throw things out. Like, again, people don't come here for facts. Come for memories. Come for fun. Come for laughter.
Here's my Alzheimer's moment of the day.
We are not here. Hopefully the draw of this podcast is our memories as bad as yours might be. So that is not something we claim to be, is someone to educate people. We're here to entertain, not educate.
We don't need to do that.
Yes. Edutainment. We take a cue from Epcot. Some education, some entertainment.
So those things in, let's say, like, you know, Tomorrowland, Fantasyland, whatever, Frontierland, all that kind of stuff. There is like, I don't know. I'm not. Nothing else is springing to mind right now that would be at the forefront and say, okay, well, this has to be. I think we've covered all the major parts.
Yeah,
so there's probably one or two probably still in there. Yeah. You know, the Sky Buckets obviously got taken out. You know, that was a
Walt Disney Story. Remember, Daddy loved going to the Walt. When we were kids, we were like, well, now I'd love to see that.
Now I would love it. Yeah. But it's... Yeah, when you're a kid, you're like, yeah, let's go sit here and learn about the guy who built the park. That's more fun. It's like me.
I love the upstairs movie at the Land, and nobody else wants to see that. Mozzie does enjoy going to that, and so does Mom. But like everybody else in our family is like, let's breeze by that. That's changed a bunch. Like, it has. Now it's one that's narrated by Ty Jarrell, so it's kind of like him doing his Phil Dunphy like realtor character, like but talking about Earth. It's very cute. Before that, it was the one with the Lion King characters in that. and that was really good too.
Yeah.
So I enjoy
Okay.
it. It's a great place to get off your feet.
So we talked about it a little earlier in the show. Well, let's pop over to Epcot.
Okay.
And we know that Universe of Energy got taken out to make way for Ellen's Universe of Energy. And then to make way for, as it should be, Guardians of the Galaxy. Guardians, I will say this. It is the smoothest. It is the longest. And I think most well done Disney coaster they've ever done.
I would agree about that. As far as coasters are concerned, 1,000%.
I mean, I've told you I still prefer Flight of Passage over everything just because I think it's just a neat experience. Just the whole vibe. Everything grips me. But I think overall, I think you'd be hard pressed to find a better ride on Disney property.
I mean, Rise
and
is,
for the wait.
Yeah.
When you do wait, how long the ride is, and it's not like hey, it's over. Like Tron is over too quick.
Rise of the Resistance though could give you a run for the money because that's a nice experience.
Yeah, that's true too.
Mom actually said that Rise is now her favorite over Soarin', which I never thought I'd hear Mom say that she likes something better than Soarin', but she really did love that. But what I was gonna say on your note about Guardians is it's also that surprise factor of what song you're gonna get really just lends to it because there's no like, oh, I know what I'm gonna get. Like that's something you're kind of like counting on. Like, am I gonna get this? Am I gonna get it?
Conga, come on, baby. I love Conga.
Good for you. I don't. It's number 6 on my. It's actually number 7 on my list of the 6 songs you can get. 6 would be no music whatsoever. But I do want to give a shout out again to Jarendell Official. You got to watch his video if you don't follow him.
How many times did he get?
Oh my God! Don't
one?
ruin it for it. But it's so funny.
Disco Inferno, I think was the one.
Oh my God! Don't ruin it for anybody who hasn't seen it. But just the commitment to
Just
making
go
that
watch
video.
it.
Him trying to see if he could get all the songs on Guardians in one day is hilarious. It's Jarendell Official. Hilarious. Please watch it. But what I was going to say about Guardians is that's something that lends to the excitement of the ride. It's going like, oh my God, what song are we going to get? What song? It's kind of like, this is going to sound silly, but like in old school Horizons at the end where you would pick your ending, like anything that you feel a little bit. And I actually saw a video recently that said that Disney filed a patent for some kind of ride technology where the rider has a little control over their ride and what happens. And people are like, is that going to factor into the door coaster for Monsters Inc? What is it going to be used for? So that's something Disney is definitely looking into, of giving like the rider a little bit of like choose your own adventure kind of thing. But I do agree, Guardians is one of the greatest upgrades.
I think the top 3 are probably it's Guardians, Flight of Passage, and Rise of
Rise,
Resistance.
yeah, I would say that hands down.
There's
down.
and then classic rides. I mean, Thunder Mountain still tracks everything else. So let's go through.
Okay.
We're at that, and then we go directly.
Epcot's a lot of replacement rides.
Epcot is a lot, but like right next door, you've got Mission Space, who is, I don't know how this remains open. Like, I do not understand it, because if you're going to go by the logic of saying Muppet Vision, we're closing this down, we're going to make something new, you've got 2 things right. You've got Wonders of Life and Mission Space there. The Wonders of Life's not open.
That could have been an entire Muppet Pavilion. Like, literally, it could have been.
I think this should have still been like some kind of cafeteria. Like, I would.
Yes, but I will also say,
that.
I'm actually save this for another Dear Disney episode, like one where we brainstorm like ideas that we have for attractions, because I have a good one I think for in that pavilion, but I'm gonna hold off on it. Mission Space, I agree.
But that
Space
Horizons-
220. Space 220, great.
Yeah,
upgrade
I like
there. But Horizons, I loved so much more than Mission Space.
I would have.
That's going to be a generational choice, though.
I would have much rather keeping the Omnicoaster or Omnimover ride thing for Horizons, having that. If it's going to be a ride you already still didn't have a line for,
Yeah.
There's some people that really like Mission Space, and those people are crazy. But there is people that like it. But there's not enough to justify that thing not at least undergoing
about
some
not
kind of
having a
new thing.
wait. That
They
has
keep
never
closing
had
down
a
Test
wait.
Track to redo it, and it has people at it all the time.
Right. And the
You're
reason
like-
Test Track gets that is because they have a guaranteed sponsor. Disney can keep doing Test Track because they have a sponsor. And as long as Disney's not footing the bill, they will happily redo a ride a million times over. They don't have that benefit everywhere else. I will say also, for those who have never experienced Horizons, because when I mention it, I do see a lot of people comment and say, even down to Peyton, I wish I could have experienced it. I wish I could have experienced it. The best way I can tell you, because it was the unofficial, but pretty official, sequel to the Carousel of Progress. So if you like the Carousel of Progress and could combine that kind of with a ride similar to like Spaceship Earth, where you're going through and traveling not just roundabout stationary scenes, you would have loved Horizons, it also had that retro version of the future that I love so much. That like, oh, you're taking, it almost feels like you took the 50s into the future. I love that so much. So I miss that. I mean, there were scenes in Horizons, I think they said were like 2 or 3 stories tall. That was where we first kind of got the glimpse of what is now Soarin', that technology of putting you over a big screen that made you feel like you were flying. So for those who didn't experience Horizons, there are some videos on YouTube. I don't know that you'll ever be able to get the vibe of what it was like in person from the queue. A second you'd walk into that room and you saw that if we can dream it, we can do it, like on the wall, and you go through the queue and all like I loved it. It made me happy every single time I got on it. I never didn't want to get on it. Did it have a long wait at the end? No, it didn't. They shut it down. People complained. They opened it back up for a couple years and shut it down permanently, because even when they reopened it, the weight faded off, and then they tried to come up with some sinkhole story, and I was like, that's funny, because you wouldn't have reopened it if there was a sinkhole.
I think we talked about it on another prior thing. We talked about it.
We talked about Future World, I think.
Yeah, so
maybe someone didn't hear that episode yet, Josh. People listen out of order.
Yeah, it's because everybody's joining at episode whatever number. 13.
Well, remember we talked about we had 2-part episodes, and then people watched more of episode 2 than 1, and we're like, did you not watch 1?
You didn't even know what happened.
Speaking of which, I was feeling, is this going to be a 2-part? I can't see a clock anymore in our new setup.
No.
Okay.
And I feel like this is just going on something, so we can always come back to it and talk about the other 2 parts. We'll get through Magic Kingdom and Epcot.
Yeah.
So let's just say Mission Space Horizon. That's to me is a downgrade, even though the technology is an upgrade. The ride itself is a downgrade for me. World of Motion that Test Track took the place of. Test Track's an upgrade from it from a nostalgia point of view. I really did like World of Motion, the same thing.
Again, for those who didn't experience World of Motion, it was very similar to a Spaceship Earth type ride. It was an Omni mover, but it was telling the story of transportation, whereas Spaceship Earth tells the story of communication.
To be on the move. Yeah.
To be on the move. To be on the moon.
It's not the moon, ding dong.
It made sense.
It didn't make sense.
It did make sense. It's transportation. How do you think people get to the moon, Josh? A rocket. That's
you don't believe anybody's been to the moon. So
they haven't. They haven't. But if they did, they would say they went in a rocket. Anyway, yes, I can understand though where Test Track, especially the original Test Track, would be considered an upgrade because it was much more exciting. But I will say I am very excited to see what this new Test Track is going to be, because they keep calling back to World of Motion, saying it's combining the original Test Track and World of Motion.
Maybe this goes through like just how like some of the process of like
animatronics. I'd like to see a little bit of animatronics in there.
It'd be nice to do that. It'd also be nice to see like how like I guess cars have evolved over the years. And then by the end of it, you're going around the thing. That's what I would imagine.
You're still gonna have that loop. You're still gonna have that.
Yeah, like you started out this like the early days of like transportation, then you go all the way. Oh yeah, that's gonna be fun. Yeah, I see a lot of videos of them testing it. So
they just took down all the construction walls around it, so people can kind of like see. That's exciting. That's exciting. I'm excited about it.
Yeah. So you have that, and I feel like wrapping up into Epcot. Really, it would be. Let's talk about the Maelstrom. Yes, the Maelstrom with Frozen. I used to love the Maelstrom. I loved how it opened up, over the front to the park and everything. You saw out there, and you looked out and everything, and then
it was also culturally. It made sense there. It was telling the story of like Norwegian culture. It was telling the story of like
Frozen
their legends.
Still fits into that too. It's still the same culture.
Is it? Is it really telling a story of a culture, or is it telling a story of a fairy tale?
Well,
you're not learning anything about Norway from Frozen.
Yeah, but I mean that's where it takes place. Basically, it's all Nordic. Yeah, it's all Nordic. Hans, Sven, all this stuff.
Oh,
yeah.
Names.
Yeah, they're
okay.
They're from Georgia. Hans and Sven, and Elsa and Anna and Kristoff. Yeah, so
our sister's name's Danielle. She is not from France.
It's basically still like Viking lore kind of things.
I get it, but I'm just saying I don't feel like it's as educational to the culture the way that.
I mean, it is what it is. But that to me, I'm like, I don't like the line. So I don't mind the ride. I mean, the ride, I like the part. You hate the part with Elsa. I like it because I think it's the neatest part of the ride. And you're like, this part's trash.
It's just, I just feel like I'm underwhelmed.
Elsa hater.
I'm underwhelmed. What Disney can produce nowadays. Okay. Yep. What Disney can produce nowadays, I just feel like that was underwhelming. Yeah. I feel like it was plopped. It was rushed. It was overnighted. They could have done. We've seen via what they have in Tokyo, what Disney can do. I get it's not the same hands touching it, but the ideas could be done. Mm-hmm. That's just my problem. It's pretty. It's not ugly, but it's just, it feels like a lot of little vignettes and not a complete ride to me. And so we all know I think that's a downgrade.
Okay.
And I will die alone on that hill. It's fine. It's fine.
Oh my goodness.
Okay, so everything else I feel like is kind of like a retheming, like a little bit like obviously the Three Caballeros it's the same ride, it's just a little bit different retheming. So I don't think we need to even like address that. American Adventure has stayed the same. You've got Ratatouille is an addition, so it's not really, you can say an
That's what
upgrade
I said. Epcot's
downgrade.
pretty easy because and then Journey's changed theming. Like the same.
Living
kind of,
Seas is kind of different because that did change, like that being from like the
I like
whole
the original.
theming.
I like the original
Yeah.
going through the tube and.
I'm torn on that one because I do feel like it's like as far as family entertainment, I think that the Nemo ride is cute, but you and I again love the whole edutainment concept of the original Living Seas. That was also very cool. But I love the end of Nemo when they have like the little cartoons looking like they're in the tank and seeing. I think that's a really cool effect actually. And then big one we missed? Food Rocks to Soarin'.
Oh yeah.
That's
Well, it's Kitchen Cabaret to Food Rocks to Soarin'.
right, but I'm saying those were similar. That was like a retheme kind of, but Food Rocks changed to Soarin'. Is that an upgrade or a downgrade? I think it's a lateral move because depending what you like, they're vastly different experiences. One was like a seated show, and then the other one is an actual like thrill ride, I guess you'd call it.
Yeah.
So that's a tough one. That's why I say lateral move. Like I love them both. I don't know if I can say
I missed the show. I just wish they
technically-
put it somewhere else.
Yeah.
We'll get to the other parks and all in a later date. We'll go and
Yeah.
talk about those. But it's just, I mean, I miss
It's hard when you're a
Kitchen
nostalgic
Cabaret
Disney
because
fan.
it was like a fun memory for me. Same thing with Food Rocks. I liked the songs. I thought the songs were great.
Yeah.
That was one of the things I looked forward to when I went in the land. I still like, listening to the land or living with the land or whatever they call it now. But yeah, I mean,
You know where they could have put Food Rocks? Where that stupid Voyage of the Little Mermaid.
yeah, you can put
And again, I don't dislike that attraction. It's just like from a sensibility standpoint, it's like, so you shut that ride down or that attraction for so long, and then you went and just revamped it, years that was shut down, revamped it, and it really just looks like you just upped the technology slightly. It doesn't really look like it was worth all that weight when there was other things. You could have left it the same and nobody would have complained.
Well-
That's my point. You could have left it the same, spent money on something else.
Well, on that note, what do you guys think? Anybody watching, listening, what do you think about this stuff? So leave us a comment on video, whether you're on Spotify, whether you're on YouTube, whatever. Leave us a comment, send us a message, hit us up on social media, whatever. But let us know what you think. Let's go to our shout out portion of the show. Shout out!
Look, it's me! I can see me!
And you can see it, and then I'm like, I'm not going to leave that graphic up.
Okay.
Gina, who do we want to shout out this week?
I wish I'd prepared something, Josh. I'm going to tell you. You know what? I'm going to give a shout out because I could be wrong on this. We have mentioned this person numerous times in stories, but I don't think we've given them a shout out, and that's our sister Brianna. I don't feel like we technically gave her a shout out ever. And she
I was going to say, you better shout out Lala.
She is a big part of our, obviously, Disney stories and everything, but I don't feel like, so I almost feel like she should get her own individual, unless
Yeah.
you have someone else in mind.
Nope.
Her own individual shout out this week.
I just knew you didn't have anybody in mind immediately, and I knew that would come to you.
Oh,
That's how good I am.
Yes, very good for you. But I was thinking about it, even though we tease her about when she's behind on the podcast. But confetti! Give the confetti!
No, there's no confetti.
But I do. She's a very supportive sister. She's a fun Disney travel partner. She's an awesome person, a great friend. So I just think we should give a shout out to our sister Lala.
Absolutely. Okay. Well, it's been a fun episode. Gina, why don't you tell everybody where they can follow us on social media?
All right. Please give us a follow. We are on Instagram and TikTok, both at BBT Magic Podcast. Obviously, that stands for Bring Back the Magic Podcast. We also do have a Facebook page. Obviously, if you're listening on Spotify, go check out our YouTube because you might be even more entertained watching us on the show. You're missing all the cute little cues and tricks, but I get that some people just like to listen. And if you've only seen us on YouTube and you're like, wow, I wish they were on Spotify, guess what? We are. And maybe eventually adding to other places as well. But yeah, give us a follow. Please like and subscribe. And comment. We love the comments, guys. Like I think
hit
you
that
can
notification
tell.
bell.
Yes, hit that notificated to be notificated. But I think you guys see that every interaction we do, I try to really stay on top of and comment back and let you guys feel seen and heard. So thank you so much.
All right. Well, thank you guys for joining us, and please watch your head and step as you exit the podcast, and we'll see you next time.
Bring back the magic for all to see. Together we'll discover all the joy and glow. In every story, there's a little bit of gold. Join our podcast adventure, let the magic unfold.